What up, brawlers? Welcome back to Throwin Hands. It's me, it's Toby. We have a bit of a break this weekend. With the home versus Bueno Silva card. No disrespect to them, but this is not the main event. The people's main event is JDM versus the Brazilian. I can't remember his name. It kind of sounded like Sean Strickland there. The Brazilian over there. But Toby, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I think my Wi-Fi is a little better, so hopefully I sound a little better this week. But yeah, I'm doing good. Just got back from a little vacation, so feeling good, man.
I don't sense any delay, so I think we're going to be all right today. But so what we're doing today, we're going to talk about the news and the usual after this, of course. But we're doing some mid-year awards. Um, for me, what I did was usually International Fight Week denotes the end of the half year. Um, so I think that's what I've kind of done too, but none of my awards come from that. But well, actually, maybe. But we have a few categories like obviously male and female fight of the year, submission of the year, knockout of the year, comeback of the year, um, game plan of the year. That's something Toby thought of. I like it. Coaching, maybe. But yeah, we have a lot to do so far. So today. So Toby, what do you think we should start with?
We could start with fight of the year. That's always a fun category.
That's always a fun category. What do you have for yours?
Well, I found it surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, but very difficult to pin down one fight of the year, especially after I started going back and rewatching these fights. I found them all to be so thrilling. But if I had to choose one, it would be Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev at UFC 286. After going back and watching that fight, man, it was incredible. It's like every other Justin Gaethje fight, of course, but Fiziev was looking extremely quick, very accurate in that fight. And I thought it was so amazing how in the third round, Gaethje just suddenly discovered that he had a jab and he could just start jabbing Fiziev's face off. And he busted him up so bad, not with the big hooks, not with the overhand, with the jab. And he just put it on him near the end of the fight. I thought it was a fantastic performance. It was just an amazing fight start to finish.
Yeah, he gets more Gaethje gets more fundamental as he ages, which is interesting. But he's controlled chaos now. For me, so for a 3 rounder, for me, it's Rachmanov versus Neal. That for my
Yeah.
3 round fight. That's my 3 round fight of the year. That was awesome. And for the 5 round fight of the year, for me, it's got to be Makhachev versus Volkanovski. I mean, the level of skill on display in that fight was top tier. It was the second round was a coin flip. So, depending on how you scored the second round, I really do think that, it was anybody's ball game when it came to the decision. I thought Volk won, but if you said Islam won, I'm not gonna disagree with you. Um, but just the level of, like I said, the level of skill on display in that fight was beyond any of our expectations, I think. So that's the credit I give to that fight of the year. Um, so
Yeah.
keep
Go
going.
ahead.
You go.
Oh, those were my two and three. Yeah, it was so close to doing Shavkat versus Jeff Neal because that fight was so fun. And especially when Neal rocked him with that big shot. I mean, Shavkat took it so well, to be fair, but the way he just dropped for like a second, but didn't fully go down was amazing. And then for him to turn it around within a couple of minutes and just really put it on him, that right hand that he landed on Jeff Neal was pissed and just pinpoint accurate. And he followed up with that finish, such a beautiful finish where he just gets behind him, uh, gets in the rear naked choke and doesn't even like have his back or anywhere close to it. And then just starts kicking his legs forward to put even more pressure on him. And then he just drops. I mean, it was a beautiful finish and a great fight for sure. And then, of course, Vulcan Islam. I mean, what else do you need to say, man? Definitely extremely high level fight. One of the best fights we've seen in years.
For sure. Let's go coach of the year, coaching game plan of the year, like you said. Let's go game plan and coaching. Game plan. I mean, I think it's got to be Volk in the Makhachev fight. He really defied my expectations there. I thought Volk would win the fight, but like his takedown defense, everything was just beautiful from him. And Joe Lopez, I mean, that dude is one of the most underrated coaches in the game. I think. I mean, the people he cranks out of that gym, top notch. So Volk's game plan was great. Um, I'm trying to think of some others, but I mean, Amanda Nunes always brings it with her game plan. But yeah, it's lots going on, I think. So, what's your kind of game plan of the year, you think?
Yeah, I think if there was any category where like a coach or a team with game plans was, pretty obvious to choose, it would definitely be, Volk. I mean, Volk with Joe Lopez, Eugene Behrman. I think you could do it for either the Mahashev fight or the Yair Rodriguez fight that we just saw recently. I mean, his game plan against Yair was perfect, mixing up those takedowns, closing the distance with the stance switches and using those stance switches to land the hooks off the kicks that Yair was throwing. He just timed everything perfectly. He timed the takedowns perfectly. He timed the counters perfectly. He was in and out of range so that he was landing kicks and Yair wasn't even able to. And Yair had a 4-inch height advantage on him. So they planned absolutely meticulously for Yair and completely figured him out at every turn. And then even in the Mahashev fight, like you mentioned, even though he did lose that one on the scorecards, it was still clearly the toughest fight in Mahashev's recent run. And it was a phenomenal game plan, regardless of the decision. But I did have a couple of other like honorable mentions. I thought that Benoit Saint Denis versus Ismail Bonfim was a really,
Yes.
really good game plan. The way he came out and just pounded Bonfim's arms. And he even talked about this in the post fight interview, how I think it was his Muay Thai coach was telling him that, even if you don't land flush on the head or the body, you're still beating down his arms. And it's going to, Bonfim is a power puncher, specifically with that right hand. And I thought that was really smart to tire out those arms of his. And then he looked, it was amazing on the ground, the way he was, working his hands across the chin. He just kept fighting for that rear naked choke. And I thought overall his game plan was just fantastic. And then Sandhagen and Vera, I thought that Corey Sandhagen had
Yes.
a really good game plan against Cheeto Vera in that fight.
I completely forgot about the Sanhagen Cheeto Vera fight. Now, I think Cheeto was a little off, and Cheeto admitted that, but no excuses. That's why I love Cheeto. He's a very honest fighter. But Sandhagen looked absolutely. He looked like a world beater in that fight. I love Corey Sandhagen. He's one of my favorites for sure. That's a good one, man. I didn't that fleeted my mind. That's an awesome pick.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to fight coming up against Umar. God, that
Oh,
is
I'm interested to
tough
see the
fight.
grappling exchanges in that fight because
Oh man,
Sandhagen I think is the most underrated grappler in that division.
he's such an underrated grappler.
Um,
I think people see they're like, oh, he got subbed by Aljo in a minute. Like, yeah, but that's Aljo. Everybody gets caught once in a while, and yeah, Aljo has top notch BJJ. I mean, there's nothing to sneeze at. Sandhagen is still extremely talented on the ground.
and his only loss since the Aljo fight was against Piotr Jan, and
Yeah,
that's I think, in my opinion, I know we're getting off topic here, but that might be the most highly skilled fight I've ever seen. Like,
it's up there.
absolutely incredible fight. If you haven't watched that fight, guys, go and watch it. I plead. Um,
It's
but
an
I
amazing fight.
digress. Yeah, I digress. We didn't do this one. Performance of the year. I think you might agree with me on this. I know you kind of got to be on your toes, but Ilya Taporia versus Josh Emmett, man. I mean, that that was a masterclass. And personally, that was more impressive than, just a knockout or a sub, because to me, it was his first 5-round fight. No one really dominated the first round, but he dominated the latter 4 rounds. He got a 10-7, which it's a little, I mean, it's Chris Lee. So,
Yeah.
but he got 2 10-8s in my opinion. But that fight was, that performance from Topuria was top notch. And, if you're his coach, you can't ask for much more when it comes to something like that. He controlled the distance so well, and him stepping in and out of range as efficiently as he did blew my mind. And on the ground, his he might be the best boxer in that division, but his groundwork is really what takes the cake for me. He's not frantic on the ground. He just knows where to position himself on the ground. I don't know. That's my performance of the year. Masterclass. I just remember getting up after watching that fight. I'm like, wow, he did that.
Yeah, no, that's a great choice. I was thinking definitely either Taporia versus Emmett. I did have a couple other options I was looking at was Jamal Hill against Glover Teixeira to
Ooh,
start off the year. That
dang, that was
was
this year. I forgot.
Yeah, that was such a good performance, man. I mean, he really made. I'm not to say that Glover maybe wasn't a step behind, and maybe isn't a little bit past his prime, obviously. But I mean, he looked still very good in the Yuri Prochazka fight, and Jamal just made him look like he was in a whole different league. It was a fantastic performance. His takedown defense really, really impressed me in that fight. His boxing was looking really sharp. He was landing great kicks along with that. I thought everywhere he just looked spectacular. And then another one was Mackenzie Dern against Angela Hill. I thought she had a
Mm,
really, really solid performance against Angela Hill. If I remember, I think some of those scorecards were also like 49,
yeah,
44.
that was crazy.
Yeah. So
Lots of
she,
head and arm throws there.
yeah, yeah. And then this was a real quick one, and maybe in the submission category too, but Gilbert Burns against Neil Magny. I mean, what a performance that he had.
Oh, I
I mean,
forgot about
he
that.
just thoroughly ran right through him. But I would say probably Taporia versus Emmett, if I had to choose one out of all those, just because it was so dominant from the first bell to the very last. Like there was no point where you could even say that, like, oh, Emmett had this moment. Like there was no moments. It was just Taporia's start to finish, complete and utter domination.
That's very true. All right. Female fighter of the year. I think that's the next. That's a good one to go to. Um, I have a tough time doing this one because I can't necessarily pick out any specific female fighter that's fought multiple times or show me something, absolutely amazing. Amanda Nunes thoroughly dominated. That was beautiful, but she's retired. And she's gonna stay retired, guys. I don't think she's coming back. Rousey's not coming back either.
Probably not. I've seen some people talking about that. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, that could be fun, but I don't think she's going to
please
do
don't.
that.
Ronda should have gone to ATT. But yeah,
True.
I think Alexa Grasso. I think it's probably gonna be Alexa Grasso for me. She I did not expect her to sub Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, Shevchenko, was it a spinning back kick she did? And then Grasso took the back when she turned around. And then, oh, that face crank looked gnarly. And I mean, Shevchenko's face probably would have broken into 3 million pieces if she had just toughed it out for a few more seconds. But yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. We'll see what happens for Mexican Independence Day fight with Shevchenko versus Grasso. So that's really the thing we have to look out for. Like, can she do it again? Because I mean, Shevchenko has lost a step, but when you defend your title 7, 8 times, like you're gonna get old, unless you're John Jones. But
Yeah.
that's she's different, man. Um, so I think it's at this point it has to be Alexa Grasso. I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And I was looking through some different women, and I think you just have to go with Grasso just based on who Shevchenko is. Like you mentioned, all the title defenses that she had and how dominant she looked in her title reign. We really only saw her struggle a few times. She had the close fight with Tyler Santos, but in this one, I mean, Grasso looked really good. Even on the feet, she was doing pretty well in the striking exchanges. And yeah, it was almost identical to the Chris Weidman versus Luke Rockhold, where she threw a spinning back kick and then Grasso just caught it. And instead of taking her down, she just took her back and then, brought her to the ground and choked her out. So just pounding her out. But yeah, I thought it was, that was a nasty choke that she had in there. I think just that alone, winning the title and who she did it against probably would be, female fighter of the year. But some other ones, I mean, Aaron Blanchfield had a really, really good win
Oh, I feel
over
ashamed. I forgot
Andrade.
that one. Damn.
Yeah. It's crazy. She did only fight one time so far this year. So, you know, and then Macy Barber, I thought she looked really good against Amanda Hebos. And I can't remember who her other win was against, but she has two wins in 2023. But I thought the Hebos performance was really
That's
fantastic. And
that's got to be female fight of the year for sure.
yeah, 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 definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd still probably go Grasso though if I had to
yeah,
choose, just because, like I said, I mean, the gravity of the situation was like, you're beating Shevchenko, one of the longest reigning champions, period. So,
for sure. One thing that just popped up for performance for me was Sergio Pettis versus Pitbull. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Especially coming off the injury layoff and against like Pitbull. Now I know Pitbull probably cut like 300,000 pounds to get to the 35, and he was probably drained as hell. However, Pitbull's a legend, man. But Sergio Pettis looked fantastic. I think he could step into 35 in UFC and do some damage. He's looking phenomenal over at Bellator. And when I hear him, I mean he looks kind of like a little Sean Brady, but he the dude
Yeah.
could fight, man. And he's probably getting the bag over at Bellator, but I could see him stepping in at 25 or 35 in the UFC right now. He's clearly gotten better since he departed from the promotion. Yeah, that's just something. That's just an honorable mention for performance for me. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. That was a great performance by him.
No, yeah, that was a fantastic performance. It is pretty incredible to see the world of difference that it's just so different from being in the UFC versus being in Bellator for him. If people remember his UFC career, I mean, this guy, if you took him down, if you got his back, if he faced a little adversity, I mean, he would basically just give up. Like he wouldn't even try to throw up submissions. He wouldn't try to scramble. Like this dude would just lay on his back for 2 rounds or something and be like,
Yeah,
oh, well, I
it
lost.
if
And
you're looking for a comparison, just and you just started watching fighting, Herbert Burns is
yeah.
similar in that
Yeah,
sense.
100%. 100%. But yeah, but I mean, he went from Herbert Burns to Gilbert Burns. It's like he is just a completely different fighter in Bellator now. And, his last few victories have been highly, highly impressive. Yeah, I really think Sergio Pettis could do well if he came back to the UFC.
For sure, but he's getting the bag. Um, all right, all right. So male fight of the year.
Male fighter, yeah.
I had a tough time here,
So did
but
I.
personally, I think I'm gonna give it to Gilbert Burns. I know he lost to Bilal Muhammad, but Bilal Muhammad couldn't beat him with one arm. One arm. Like what? How? How couldn't he do that? I don't want to remember the name, man. But I think I mean he masterclass against Masvidal, masterclass against Neil Magny, and he fought Bilal Muhammad what like 4 weeks notice, and then he beat him with one arm. He threw out his arm with a jab, I think, which is crazy. But I think it's got to be Gilbert Burns for me, man. And I hope Gilbert Burns comes back, wins a fight or two, because I think Gilbert Burns is the real BMF in my opinion. Like this dude will fight anybody, anywhere. He has zero qualms about who's put in front of him. Yeah, I love Gilbert Burns, man. You can't hate him.
Yeah, no, Gilbert Burns is a great choice. Yeah, I had a tough time picking this one. I was thinking Volk, that seems like a pretty obvious choice just because even though he lost the Mahashev fight on paper, it was so close. And for a guy to go up in weight class, challenge someone like Islam Mahashev and do so well, and then to defend so dominantly in his next fight. So I was thinking Volk, I was thinking John, and even though John only had one fight, it's like it is John Jones. And he did look so good in that fight. It's like I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, he did win the ESPY, didn't he, for Fighter of the Year too?
I think that's the best UFC fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. It's like, yeah, that'd be a stretch. I was thinking too, maybe Jelton Almeida. I mean, he had some great
Oh, that's a good one,
performances
man.
against Shamil Abdurrahimov, and I got to see him dominate Jairzinho Rosenstrike live in Charlotte. So I think I'll go with Jelton Almeida just because I really, really am looking forward to what he does in the heavyweight division. I mean, he is a true high level grappler in the heavyweight division, and there are not many of those. And he's super quick and athletic too. He's not just like lay on top of you and kind of tire you out and kick the sub. Like he's a very quick, athletic, fun fighter. So
He's
no,
always working for a submission.
yeah, like nothing against Alexio Oleinik, nothing against Scarfolds or anything, but you look at like, oh, this guy has 60 subs, whatever. It's like, yeah, I mean, who was he really facing? Like Jalton is very impressive. I think he's going to do a lot in this heavyweight division. I would love to see him against John before John hangs him up.
Yeah. Well, that's a good choice. Volk's good choice too. KO of the year. I've had a tough time with this one. I really can't think. There haven't really been any, in my opinion, that made my jaw drop. Like oh my gosh, that was the wheel kick by that dude, spinning heel kick by that dude in PFL.
Yeah,
Um,
Sadabu. Yeah.
yeah, Sadabu Said, whatever his name is. Shout out to that dude. But like that overhand right by what's his face last weekend, the flyweight.
Um, yeah,
We gotta look that
oh
up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know who you're talking about for sure. That was a pretty
That was
insane knockout.
gnarly.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was filthy in my
Oh,
that might be the
hey,
filthiest knockout of the year.
Jesus Aguilar.
Oh, actually, Robbie
Th-
Lawler versus Nico Price, man. What?
yeah,
No,
great
there's
knockout.
no better way to end a career than how Robbie Lawler did it. He did it the ruthless way. Damn it! And no one's gonna tell me that's not the knockout of the year so far.
Dude, I will say you're talking about knockouts that made your jaw drop. There was one this year that I vividly remember, and I had to go watch it again because it really just made my jaw drop. Diego Ferreira over Michael Johnson, one punch KO,
Oh, that was
al-
filthy.
almost exactly the same knockout against Josh Emmett, or that Michael Johnson suffered against Josh Emmett. That one, it was so brutal. His legs like crossed over each other. He stiffened up completely. And it's so wild that it was the same exact setup that Josh Emmett used. And then another one that I really loved, Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. That
Ooh,
was
that was good.
such a brutal knockout. The way that Yanez's body just like flew through the air was pretty incredible. I didn't think Rob Font was packing that type of power. I was almost thinking about doing him for game plan of the year, but he did take a good bit of damage. But I love that fight because Rob Font kept bringing Yanez's head down, and eventually he grabbed that collar tie and then hit him with the uppercut. And it was just a beautiful setup, I thought. Um, Edson Barboza over Billy Q had that
Oh, that
knee
that was
coming
filthy.
in,
Oh,
but
I
definitely a filthy
forgot about
knockout.
that. Good
And of
lord.
course, Izzy and Pereira. I mean, definitely can't forget about that
Yeah.
one.
It's like
Yeah.
when I think of like knockout of the year person, I think of something like wild. Like I think
Yeah.
Chandler versus Tony Ferguson, something like that. Like something
Yeah.
that just makes you go, oh my gosh, Izzy throws Izzy can punch, man. And like
Yeah.
I think the moment, I think that might be moment of the year. Just Izzy finally letting all that tension out after he knocked out Pereira. Like that's the moment of the year for me. And it was two overhand rights. It was a great knockout. Like as a moment, that might be the moment of the year. Oh, Bonfim knocking out Terrence McKinney.
It's a fantastic knockout.
That was grody, man. But I
I was thinking
forgot
about
about
that
the
one too.
Edson
Yeah.
Barboza one because Billy Q kept like projecting his shot. And if you're
Yeah.
projecting your shot against a guy like Edson Barboza, you're gonna
Can't do
pay.
that, man. Yeah. Dan Ige also had a really, really solid knockout over Damon Jackson. His
I
body
forgot about
just like
that.
flopped backwards onto the ground. If I had to choose out of all those, though, it would either be Diego or Rob Font. I really love that Rob Font knockout. Just the way that if you haven't anybody out there, if you haven't seen that fight, like Yanez just goes flying through the air. It was pretty incredible to watch. And Yanez wasn't even looking bad. Like he was kind of piecing him up a bit, but it was just a little short uppercut in the clinch. Yanez landed, and then he had him hurt really bad, and then he landed like a shovel hook. I mean, it was devastating, man.
I hope guys don't doubt Giannis yet. Giannis is so really good. I mean that's such a step up from whom he had fought. Wasn't his last fight like Tony Kelly or something before
Yeah,
that?
oh yeah. Yeah, Giannis has such a bright future, man. That was a giant
His
step up in
boxing is so
competition.
crisp.
Yeah, I think
But
he's going to come back much better.
that Tony Kelly knockout might be the knockout of the year of last year just because of the fact that it was Tony Kelly.
It really was a great knockout though.
It
Like
was
after he
awesome.
had him hurt, every single punch that Giannis threw, even when Kelly was falling, he landed. Every single punch he landed. It was incredible to watch.
It was awesome. All right. I think our last category here. Oh, two more. Sub of the year. Our next one will be event of the year. Uh
Yep.
Sub of the year. John Jones versus Cyril Gahn. I don't care what you say. John Jones took 3 years off and just got to work, man. And he's been winning belts like he has for the past 12 years. So 12 years. I got to touch on that, man. 12 years. This dude has been winning belts. 12 freaking years. He won his first belt at 23 and he's still winning belts at 35. And I honestly think this is the perfect time for him to move up to heavyweight. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the crazy part about it.
Yeah, he can have a George Foreman type ending to his career, even though George Foreman was like significantly older. But boxing's very different from MMA. But yeah, I mean, it was a great submission, man. I had that up there. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Burns versus Magny is also up there for submission of the year. Shavkat versus Neal. But for me, man, I think I might have to go with Brendan Allen over Andre Muniz. I mean,
Ooh.
that's a great, great guy to submit. Like Andre Muniz has very, very high level
Yeah.
Brazilian
I
Jiu-Jitsu.
mean, he
And
subbed
Brendan,
Jacare.
yeah, yeah, man. And for Brendan Allen to do what he did to him, I mean, he pretty much dominated that fight. And then to end it with a submission, I don't know, man. I might have to go with that. But definitely John is up there, certainly. It was a great submission.
Yeah. All right. Event of the year. I think you'll agree with me. UFC 290. Last weekend was awesome.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
yes, recency bias, maybe. But there are 4 finishes like under a minute or something like or for yeah, something crazy like that.
Under 40 seconds, I think.
Yeah, something. Let me look that up real quick. That was yeah.
Oh, while you look that up, honorable mention for the submission, because this has an asterisk next to it, though, is Davy Grant over Rafael Assunção. Because if you remember that fight, Assunção was dominating, but then there was like a huge head clash, and Assunção, was clearly rocked, but they just continued fighting. And then Davy Grant landed an inverted triangle and put him completely to sleep. So it was a
I
great
forgot about that.
submission, like really, really awesome submission, but a bit of an asterisk. So I put that as like an honorable mention though.
Yeah. Yeah, three finishes under a minute. Insane.
Incredible.
Um
Yeah.
one wow, there's something else from this card I wanted to mention. I can't remember. Oh, you know what? I think honorable mention for male fight of the year, as much as it pains me to say this, is Dracus Duplessis.
I know. I thought about that too. I was like, I don't want to
I,
bring it up though.
I'm getting really emotional talking about this because my boy Bobby Knuckles got knocked out by Dracus Duplessis. But he beat Derek Brunson. Oh, corner of the year. Sanford MMA for saving the Derek Brunson's life each of the past 2 times he's fought
Yes.
by throwing in the
Shout out
towel.
Sanford MMA.
Shout out Greg Jones. Catch his interview on the
Absolutely.
podcast, guys. And shout out Henry Hooft and shout out everybody else over at Sanford MMA for keeping Derek Brunson alive for his kids.
Great
Because
decision.
great decision, guys. You changed his life. You
There's
saved
no
his life.
there's no shame in throwing in the towel. No
No,
shame at all.
unless you're Anthony Smith
Yeah.
against Glover Teixeira. Oh, weird moment of the year was when dude, I think that dude breaking into his house really screwed him up because he was trying to get motivation out of Johnny Walker for saying, "You attacked my family," and Johnny Walker went, "Huh?" And then we said it again, "You attacked my family," and the absolute visceral reaction that Johnny Walker had, he went, "What?" Like
Yeah.
it was such a natural reaction, and it's like that dude who broke into his house really screwed him up. I think, man, that's a traumatizing experience. Like, I hope he's getting help because, like, if that's what you're pulling for motivation, like dang, man, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, that was a very weird fight to watch live because Anthony Smith was just like not himself in there. I mean, the punches that he was throwing were at like 30% speed, if that. And Johnny Walker didn't even look really fantastic or anything, but he just looked a lot better compared to Anthony Smith. I was like, man, this guy might have to hang it up after this one because that was not a good performance.
People were dogging Johnny Walker for that performance for some reason. I thought he looked great. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Anthony Smith's a crafty vet, man, and Anthony Smith on the ground is underrated when it comes to his complete ground game. Like that dude can get to work on the ground.
Yeah. I thought he could have
So
been a bit more active, Johnny Walker, but it was a
yeah,
good performance, no doubt. I just thought he could have pursued that finish because Smith was really not doing
yeah,
much of
and his
anything.
legs were shot too. Smith's legs were
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was the weirdest moment of the year. I hope Anthony Smith's soon all right, man, because it just didn't seem right. Um,
Yeah.
but all right, we got to go to some news. And Toby, I think this is the most appropriate thing to bring up. Kevin Lee doesn't believe he fits in anywhere, and it's a really tragic thing.
Yeah.
I'm not
Poor
trying
Kevin
to
Lee.
like downplay it, but like he's like, there's more to life than fighting it. It's just like this guy had so much promise. He fought for the interim belt against our boy Tony Ferguson. But like, man, like, dude, it stinks. Like he's too small for 70, but his genetics won't let him make 55 very well. So he fights at 170. He's too small. And then they send him to the shredder against Fakhr Like, what's his face? Mick Maynard, what were you thinking? Sean Shelby,
Yeah,
what were you thinking? Dana
I have
White,
no
what were you
idea.
thinking? You're putting him up against a wood chipper of a man.
Yeah, I mean, if they legitimately wanted Kevin Lee back in the UFC and to get a little run, they would not have given him Hanat Fakhretdinov. They would have
No.
given him a guy much less skilled than that, someone who maybe has like a decent name in the division, but someone who is not just
Should have
this.
given him Tim Means.
Yeah, yeah, someone like that. Exactly. Someone who's not just an absolute murderer, like a savage in there. So yeah, it was a really tough fight. I don't know. I think hopefully though, Kevin Lee, I'm sure he made pretty good money in the UFC. I know his brother does very well. So maybe he can, do something on TikTok. I don't know, become an influencer. But I'm sure he has things that he's into outside of fighting. When you texted me though, I thought he was saying that there's nothing more to life than fighting. And I was like, oh boy, like that's really, really sad. I was like,
Yeah,
it's a
I
really
think I
tragic story.
I think I texted you back. That would be dark. Like,
Yeah, I thought it was, I was like, man, that actually made me really upset. And then I was like, oh, okay. That's
uh,
not too bad then.
shout out Keith Lee, man. That guy is the man on TikTok. But Keith Lee
Apparently
warned you
so.
guys, don't approach him. Guys, do not approach that man when he's in his family. That will end
He can
poorly. I
still
don't
fight.
care. Yeah, he still
Yeah.
fights too. And it's like, you I don't care how big of a man you are. If you're not trained, he will destroy you. So, yeah, Keith Lee, great guy. Guarantee it. Don't cross him. Poor idea. Um, some other tragic news, man. I don't know if not tragic's not the appropriate word, but extremely disappointing news. Jamal Hill ruptured his Achilles. I think he said, I don't know if this is true or not. Like in that basketball game, the MMA fighters basketball game.
Yeah.
Dang, man! Like ever since John Jones vacated the title, there have been 4 title holders, and it's only been defended successfully once.
Yeah.
Dang. And here's where I'm not blaming Jamal Hill for it, but it's like when you get out of shape, stuff like this happens between like that's when because the more you weigh, the more impact there is on your body and stuff. Like you got to stay in shape. Like Patty Pimblett, if I hear him get injured outside of camp, I'm not going to be surprised. He gains 40, 50 pounds after a fight week. So it's like you stay in shape, man. And I remember I gained a lot of weight during COVID, and even like running hurt. Like then I lost it all, and now I'm a savage. But it's like I don't know, man. It's not Jamal Hill's fault. It really isn't. But I think maybe this could serve as a lesson to just stay in shape.
Yeah, it's definitely hard on your joints. It's really, yeah, I've seen some photos of Jamal Hill outside of camp. Definitely does not stay super cut or anything. So I'm sure that did play a role in it. But yeah, no, it is tragic, I would say. It's a really rough injury. Like you said, I mean, this light heavyweight belt kind of just seems like it's cursed, dude. I mean, what happened to Yuri, what happened to Jamal now, 2 guys that are so exciting, such talented young guys too, both I think both under 30, if not both right around 30. I mean, Jamal might be like 31, 32, but both these guys are just such exciting young talents in the light heavyweight division, and they both just had devastating injuries. So I'm really hoping that he recovers quickly. I'm hoping Yuri comes back soon, and I hope to see these guys face each other at some point.
Yeah, I do too. Fighters, I'm not expecting you to stay shredded like Yuri all year round, but
Yeah,
don't.
no,
Michael Chandler is a good example. He shreds down to 8% body fat, which don't do that, guys. I don't care if you're an athlete or not. That is a horrible decision. Do
yeah.
not do that. But stick around 20, 25. Like that's not a bad place to be. So yeah. So talk of the town is try and make Blachowicz versus Pereira for the vacant title. I don't agree. I don't think that should happen. I think that should be a title eliminator, and our boy Yuri should be the guaranteed title fight holder, I guess. And then, winner of Blachowicz versus Pereira gets a crack at Yuri. And I want to see Yuri versus Pereira so badly. But the fight I want to see, they need to make Blachowicz versus Prohaska like in the middle of the woods or something. It's the fight we need.
Yeah. I could go either way on making this a title fight or not. I do think it would be a bit weird just because, Pereira's never actually fought at light heavyweight. And Blachowicz just recently fought for the vacant belt against Magomed Ankalaev. And that was, it wasn't I think the way Dana made that fight sound was way worse than it actually was. Like it was decent. It wasn't fantastic or anything. And it
It was a
ended in a
skilled fight, I
yeah.
thought.
Yeah, it was decent, and it ended in a draw. So I think it probably would be a mistake to make this a title fight. Like I said, just make it a title eliminator, and then hopefully Yuri can come back in like 3 months, maybe. And one of these guys is whoever wins is healed up, ready to go by that point. You can just make the vacant title fight then. So I think that would probably be the best move.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep it a title eliminator. But I know the UFC loves to like slap title fights on these cards, so
Yeah.
they might do it.
But I think Connor's the only man that can headline above a title. I really do.
Yeah, true.
Like Poirier Gaethje, that is a banger.
That's the main
Banger.
event. I mean, that's seriously like
It has to be
could
the
main
main event.
event any pay-per-view. Like I don't care who's on it. That's a main event.
That's gonna be a slobber knocker. But Muhammad Mokaev versus Tim Elliott set for UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi. Great fight.
Fun. Yeah, I didn't even see that. Fun fight.
That's an awesome fight.
I think Makayev takes that one. I think he takes it pretty easily.
It's his
Although
toughest fight
it's definitely his
for
toughest
sure.
fight. And Tim Elliott is a scrappy dude. And he like nothing against Tim Elliott whatsoever. I just think I'm that high on Makayev, but I think Tim Elliott is very talented. He, gave DJ a few problems when they fought. Although like, throughout the course of the fight, DJ definitely took over. But yeah, Tim Elliott is a really good fighter. So this is definitely a big step up. And Makayev has looked I wouldn't say beatable, but he's definitely looked human. He's not one of those guys that has just completely torn through everybody. Like he has failed a lot of takedown attempts. He did struggle a little bit against, a guy like Charles Johnson, but I think he's still a really good prospect in the flyweight division. Dude,
Uh,
I'm loving what flyweight is looking like right now. I think it's slowly, maybe even quickly becoming one of the better divisions in the whole UFC.
yeah, give it 2 years, and I think it might be like a top 3, 4 division in the UFC. We just have to see how things pan out with that division.
Yeah.
Um, I feel bad for Makaev sometimes, man, because like Patty says, like, you're not from here, you don't rep us. Like, come on, man. Like Makaev's lived here since
Yeah.
he was a teen, since like he was 12. Yeah, 12 according to his Wikipedia. I love Makaev, man. He's a good dude. He's our age, which freaks me out.
That is super weird. It's even weirder when you think about Raul Rosas and you're like, geez, this guy was
well,
born in like 2004 or
well, Raul
something.
Rosas is a child.
That is so weird. Oh man.
Rosas shouldn't even be in the UFC, man. He got masterclassed by who was it? Uh,
Yeah, who was his last
Let me
fight
look. Hold
against?
on. I'm right there, actually. I'm actually right here. Christian Rodriguez. I mean, Christian Rodriguez is no
Yeah,
bum by any means. He can fight. He actually looked phenomenal in that fight.
you look really good.
All right, a couple more things. Lots going on today. Oh, we got to take a knee, man. Zalga Zumagulov has been cut from the promotion.
No surprise there.
The toughest 1-6 UFC fighter to ever grace the octagon.
Legitimately, man.
3 or 4 split decisions. We love Zalgas, man. We love
We
Zalgas.
definitely respect Zalgas on this show.
We do. Okay. Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury, official. It's going on their professional boxing records. However, the WBC title isn't up for grabs,
Of
which is
course.
so dumb. I'm not interested anymore. Like, if this is a professional fight going on the records, what if Ngannou goes right hand burr and knocks out Tyson Fury? It's not going to happen, guys. Let's be real with ourselves. However, if that title becomes so much less valuable if Tyson Fury somehow loses. So just put the title on the line. Who cares?
I mean, I think that's the fear, though. Although It is like probably a 90% chance that Tyson Fury just absolutely dominates Ngannou. There is that slight possibility that Ngannou lands one shot and just puts him out. And I think that Fury's camp knows that. And I wouldn't say they're worried, but they're conscious of the fact that Ngannou does carry nuclear power and they don't want to lose that title based on that. And then also, too, would Ngannou like actually stay in boxing? Like, let's say he did win the title. Would he stay in boxing and defend the title, or would it just get vacated? It might just be a bit of a messy situation then.
I don't know, man. Like thinking about it, it's like, um, Ngannou is a boxer. Like he has power, but how fundamental is he going to be? And is Tyson, I could just see Tyson Fury going around the outside of the ring and just jab, 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 jab. Like I could see that the whole time, and then followed up with a 1-2 or a feint, and then just knock Ngannou out. That's how I see it going. I don't. I see no path to victory for Francis Ngannou except just a overhand right from the gods.
I agree. I mean, I think if Tyson Fury can do what he did to a guy like Deontay Wilder multiple times, and Deontay Wilder is a trained, very high level boxer, a guy who's been doing this, he's got like 30 some professional fights. I think he can definitely do it to Ngannou as well, and probably finish Ngannou as well. But I'm glad Ngannou got this fight. I know that's the fight that he was working towards for a long time. I'm pretty sure Dana said something along the lines of like he will never get the Tyson Fury fight. So it is kind of funny to see him get it now. And his paycheck is going to be absurd. He's going to get a ridiculous amount of money for this fight. And I hope it sells well, and I hope he continues to do well in his career. So
Dana White's gonna. I bet you Dana White's gonna announce something very, very soon.
oh yeah, I saw a comment, someone saying this is actually really good for UFC fans because Dana's gonna absolutely stack I think it's 294. He's gonna like stack that card like crazy just to take some shine off of the boxing event. So I'm really looking forward to that weekend.
Yeah, I have too. I love Dana White's pettiness. That's what makes the UFC awesome.
Sure.
Like I didn't even think about Deontay Wilder. Like if Deontay Wilder would smoke Francis Ngannou in a boxing match, yeah, I this doesn't get out the third or fourth round. I
No, I
think
could definitely see a knockout by Fury.
I think Fury will gauge the range, be it fight it smarter than like let's say Wilder if he fought Ngannou. So I think a fight with Fury would last longer, but I think Fury just does his thing. It's gonna be ugly, I think.
Yeah.
Um I had one more thing. Oh yeah. Stipe Miocic intends to do whatever he wants to John Jones. Dude, it hasn't happened before. And I don't know how many people have said it ever. Probably tons. Oh, I'm gonna beat you. Stop. Stop talking like that. Like you're not gonna do whatever you want to John Jones.
Hey, I love the confidence though. Keep it up, Stipe. Like, although we can all agree that is almost certainly not going to happen. I love to see it from Stipe. He's usually doesn't he doesn't really talk a lot of trash. And I wouldn't even consider this trash talking. I think he's just, confident in his skills. But good luck, man. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Good luck, Stipe.
Steel. Uh yeah, I don't. Here's my thing. It's like trying to figure out how to put this. It's the first goat versus goat fight, as a fan that I'll see. And at the same time, Stipe's 41 by the time this fight gets rolling.
Wow. Didn't
I
realize that.
I don't see John Jones. I mean, Stipe's boxing is better than John Jones. John Jones' only like weakness, I guess, is boxing. But John Jones is just going to kick his legs away
Yeah.
and then slip the left hand, grab him, take him down. So who
I mean,
knows, man? I'm excited. I love this fight so much.
yeah.
I'm so excited for this fight. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Stipe is gonna have to come in with the most perfect game plan ever. Jab, jab, keep jabbing. Stipe's jab is gonna be the key to this fight.
It's just so wild, like you mentioned, John has never had to rely on his boxing whatsoever. That's what way back in the day when he fought Glover Teixeira, a lot of people thought that Glover was going to give him some serious problems because Glover was such a good boxer coming into that, and he had jiu-jitsu on top of that. But John, he never had to use that because his distance management is so good. He uses the kicks, like the oblique kicks, the front kicks, the side kicks, the question mark kicks. I mean, he has so many kicks. He'll throw that lead elbow. I think even if Stipe starts landing that jab, John's just going to time a counter hook. He can time a spinning back elbow. He could time, a slip overhand. I mean, this dude will find a way. He could time an up elbow. Like this. He will find a way to land something, no matter what Stipe figures out on him. And if none of that works and Stipe is jabbing him up, he's going to take him down. And I really don't think Stipe, and even though he has great wrestling himself, it's a different level, man. John Jones is truly a different level. And Stipe, he's fought great guys, but Overeem, Dos Santos, Verdum, these guys are not John Jones. You know, I mean, John Jones is a different breed of human. I just think I'm not going to say it's going to be easy just out of respect for Stipe. I think it's going to be a great fight, but I think John gets it done.
I do too, and like you said, and also Stipe hasn't fought this round. I don't think Stipe has really even fought anybody well rounded. Like the one thing, Junior Dos Santos, boxing heavy, solid jujitsu. Alistair Overeem, amazing guillotine, but one of the best kickboxers to ever fight in MMA. And Ngannou, right hand go burr. DC, dirty boxing, great wrestling. But John Jones does everything. So he hasn't fought a kickboxer. I mean, yeah, Overeem, but Overeem doesn't kick as much as you'd think someone like a skill set would. But I mean, Overeem's a savage. I'm not taking anything away from him. Overeem's awesome. But this might be too big of a puzzle for Stipe, and I hate to say that because I think Stipe's awesome. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. Hell, I even met the dude at UFC Columbus. Great guy. He's not as big as you think, guys. But I don't know if I told you this. So people at UFC Columbus were like snapping, like when they went up to see Stipe, were like, "I love you, Stipe," like doing like slapping his chest. I'm like, dude, this is like the last dude you want to like not make unhappy. This is the last dude you want to make unhappy.
Right.
Like,
It's just a bit weird when people do that. Like they think they're just boys with these fighters. They have these parasocial relationships with these people, and it's like you can't just go up and slap a grown man on the chest, and especially a professional fighter, and be like, "Oh, what's up, homie?" It's like you don't really like. I'm sure he's a nice guy and everything, but that is a bit weird.
he is extraordinarily nice. When I went up to him, I said, "Hey, what's up, Stipe?" Hit him with the sweat. Love you, man. Big fan. All I gotta say, took a picture. The classic fist up. I said,
Sure.
appreciate it, man. Hit him with the sweat again. Boom. Interaction over with. That is appropriate. Do not go up and tap. Don't, hey,
Yeah.
man, you're the best. Like, dude, don't put hands on these guys. Like,
Keep it appropriate. Keep it respectful, man.
I can't imagine. God, how do you be that dumb? I don't get it.
No, it's crazy.
But anyway, that's all I have for this episode. Solid episode. Oh, we got to predict the main event of this absolute banger, man.
Um, man, I have really not been following this card too much. Like I haven't done really any research on it. I like Holly Holm.
I like
I'm
home
nothing
by
against her.
decision.
Yeah, I think definitely by decision. Like no matter who wins, this is going to go to decision. Take my word for it. If you're out there, like this fight is going to decision 100%. I'll go with Holly Holm. I'll lean home in this one, just on experience.
One thing I've noticed is that the older women fighters usually tend to do better more long term than the men.
Seems
Um,
like it, yeah, definitely.
I don't know, but Jack Della Man. All right, I will say this main card is it the worst I've seen. Like Atman Zaitar, you're watching that. I'm tuning into Atman Zaitar. Are you kidding me?
He's a fun guy.
Uh, Albert Durai versus Jung Young Park. Jung Young Park always brings it.
Yeah.
Norman Dumont, Chelsea Chandler. I'm taking a bathroom break during that. Uh, Nazim Zadikov versus Terrence McKinney. I'll watch that. Why
Fun
isn't
one.
Austin Lingo on the main card? Like, like that's a
Yeah, I
fun
mean,
fight.
it's not a horrible card, you know. It's okay.
They're they're what is it? They're just fulfilling contracts. That's
Yeah.
it.
I think the worst card I can remember is Cynthia Calvillo versus Jessica I. Like that's a really, really bad card.
Name value wise, absolutely, but the event itself wasn't that bad.
Really, honestly, yeah, I don't remember the event that well.
But that honestly, that could low key be in part due to the fact that it was like the in the midst of the pandemic, like 2 months in, and we had
Yeah,
nothing else better to watch.
true, true. Yeah, no other sport really was continuing.
Oh yeah, Ashley Evans Smith is fighting. Okay, there's some
Wow.
interesting things going on here. I didn't realize Ashley Evans Smith was 6-5. What?
Yeah. I just remember, was she in that fight where she got cut like really, really horribly? It was like just bleeding everywhere. I think that was Ashley Evans Smith.
Maybe. Who knows, man? I can't believe she's still in the UFC. Oh,
No, I
fun fact
know.
about
That's
Ashley Evans
shocking.
Smith. She's been a vegan since 2016, and that'll end it. Talk about
Oh,
veganism, man. Hey,
yeah.
respect to vegans out there. That's a tough one. I don't get how
I
you do it.
I will say before we
Go ahead.
close out here, we did forget to do comeback of the year if you wanted to.
Let's
I
do
don't know
it.
if you had
What do you
chosen.
have?
Well, I think one that was pretty recent, just a couple weeks ago, pretty obvious choice here. Elvis Brenner versus Garam Kudataladze. One of the best comebacks I've seen, period. I mean,
That's a
Garam
good
is
one,
such a
man.
such a tough guy. He was beating the crap out of Elvis Brenner. And then, his hair was blonde to bloody, just completely red. And he just hit him with that one shot right on the neck, and just dropped him. There was also CJ Vergara and Daniel Lacerda, I think his name is, or Daniel. They have it listed two different ways, but I think it's Daniel Lacerda. But Lacerda landed like a spinning wheel kick right on the temple of Vergara, had him hurt badly for the whole first round. And then in the second, he just had no gas, absolutely nothing left. And Vergara finished him. So,
That's a good one. I'm not even gonna add much to that. So that'll
oh,
do it for the. Oh,
I was, no, I was going to say, another one I was thinking about too was debut of the year. Ikram Alaskarov versus Phil Hawes. Beautiful
oh,
debut.
that's a good. I can't believe we didn't even do that one. Yeah,
Dude,
dude. He sent Phil Haas to a place no one had ever been before.
oh my God. I can't. It's so crazy watching that knockout. It looked like he just grazed him, like he just flicked him on the chin. And then Phil Hawes just like sprawls backwards, completely unconscious. And then also another one that really impressed me was Nursultan Ruzaboyev and Bruno Ferreira. I thought that was a great
Oh yeah,
debut.
Nursultan. Oh my gosh, Nursultan is different, man. That dude's gonna be really good.
Dude, his build is unbelievable for middleweight.
He's huge.
Insane. That guy is a freak. And I think he's going to do pretty well in that division.
I mean, also Ikram. He's fighting our boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the meme lord, Paulo Costa at
Yes,
UFC
sir.
291. All
Yep.
right, hold on. 291 stacked. Let's just take a look at this. The worst fight on this card might be Jake Matthews versus Miguel Baeza.
Honestly,
That's
that's
a
still a pretty good fight, though.
that's an awesome fight. But we have Poirier, Gaethje, Blachowicz, Pereira, Costa, Alaskarov, Ferguson, Green, Chiesa versus Holland. Ooh, that'll be a fun fight. Thompson versus Pereira. That's the prelims. Lewis, Rogerio de Lima, Giles versus Bonfim, Kopolov versus Ribeiro, Matthews Baeza, Vergara, Salvador, Semmelsberger versus Uros Medic, and Cachoeira versus Maverick. But dude, this man, I can't wait for Poirier versus Gaethje, man. That's gonna be.
No, it's a great fight. It's a great card. I'm super excited. Roman Kopylov, I thought he looked really good in his last fight against Punahele Soriano. It was a great finish, body kick, followed up with some punches. I love Kopylov, especially after he had a really rough start to his UFC career. Um, yeah, another thing. I think people are kind of I think they're overrating a little bit Tony Ferguson or maybe underrating Bobby Green. I don't think these guys are on the same level anymore. I think Bobby Green is not nearly as watched. I don't think he's watched at all, really. I mean, Tony Ferguson just subjectively, and I love Tony. Like I love Tony very much. His win streak is one of the most exciting, incredible things we've ever seen in the UFC. But this dude is washed. He should not be fighting anymore. And Bobby Green, on the other hand, yeah, he still looks good to me. Like he still looks good in his fights. Sure, he got finished by Islam. He got finished by Drew Dober, but these are very tough, very good opponents. And he was looking extremely good in the Drew Dober fights. So I think that Bobby Green is just going to take it to Tony, to be honest. I think it's going to be like a dominant decision. But we'll see. I mean, maybe Tony will pull something out of the bag here, but I don't know. I don't think these guys are in the same ballpark anymore.
My hope for the Tony fight, maybe you have the same hope, Toby, but it's third round. The time's winding down. There's like 30 seconds left. Tony Ferguson throws up like a Hail Mary triangle. Bobby Green doesn't tap out. And then Tony Ferguson emerges victorious and retires in the middle of the octagon. That's my dream. I hope that happens. I haven't seen Tony Ferguson win since I started becoming a UFC fan. Like this guys, if you're new to the channel or the podcast, that first episode, that's where I started becoming a fan because I got into the sport on accident, and I'll tell that story later. But yeah, this is please, Tony, please don't disappoint me like Robert Whitaker did.
I would love to see Tony get a win here, but it's a tough fight, man.
Oh, it's such a tough fight, but I'm pulling my hair tie out. It's time to take a shower. But Toby, you got anything else, man?
Nah, I think we covered everything. That was a great episode, a fun one. I had a lot of fun looking up these fights, and yeah, man, thanks for having me on again.
Oh, for sure. I don't know what type of episode we'll do next. I don't really want to review this card unless something crazy happens. I mean, Toby's gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it since we're uh addicted to the sport. But that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.